Hi guys, and welcome to Dee's Media World. Today I'll be doing a brief review on season 3 of the show Devious Maids. It comes on Mondays at 9 o'clock and Lifetime. And I've been following the show since it first started. It aired about 2 years ago, I think 2013, summer 2013. And I've really liked it. It's one of the few shows on television where, at least at the beginning of the show, it was majority minority cast, and all the characters are basically Latin American characters, and of course they work for white people because it's Devious Maids, but it's still a good show. I did a brief blog about my thoughts on that idea, so I'll put that in the link below. But in any case, going on season 3, I know I haven't spoken about Devious Maids at all on this channel, but I did want to talk a little bit about it since the finale for season 3 aired this week. This is a good show. I like it, and it's better than when I think of a show that's kind of a guilty pleasure. It's kind of in a guilty pleasure zone. It's fun. I don't know if I would buy it though. That's debatable. It would depend on how much it costs. I know for sure, like the show Desperate Housewives, which most of the producers from that show are on this show, and even Eva Longoria is actually on this show as well. She played Gabrielle on Desperate Housewives. She produced this show. So some of the humor is from that show on there. I know I would buy Desperate Housewives, but I'm not sure if Devious Maids is in that category of shows I definitely have to own. I would definitely watch it again. I would watch it in 20 years, but it's still an enjoyable show, and I like it. I follow it. I try to watch it. I don't really watch it on live television, but I'll DVR it, whatever, and watch it. So my thoughts about season 3 is that it was a good season. It was solid. My favorite characters are Adrian and Evelyn, and I don't know if they're my favorite storyline, but they are my favorite characters, and I think it mainly has to do with the writing. They're incredibly witty, funny characters, and even though they can be mean or mean-spirited and scheme and stuff, they're really entertaining. They're kind of what made people like shows like this. They're kind of like the meat and potatoes. I enjoy the maid characters, Zoila, Carmen, particularly those two, because Rosie and me do not get along this season. Everything Rosie did this season bugged me to death. I don't think I agreed with almost anything she did, mainly because I felt like she was an opportunist this season, and not in a career way, but in a relationship way. She was in a coma a couple months, was married to Spence, and he took care of her and whatever, and her kid. And she wakes up and she's complaining about, some of the things he doesn't do and comparing him to her ex-husband or her deceased husband. For starters, that storyline with the deceased husband crap bothered me mainly because she had never mentioned her husband before this, before the end of season 2. If you remember in the end of season 2, she mentioned something about she was scared to marry Spence because something about Ernesto, but she's never mentioned Ernesto previously. We didn't even know she had a husband. We didn't know he had died. We didn't know anything about him. So that felt like a forced storyline. So of course, in typical show fashion, the moment she mentions her first husband or whatever, that's when he shows up and out of the blue, and he comes back and something about being bull crap about him being kidnapped by the cartel, and she basically leaves Spence maybe after 2 episodes of thought. And partially out of guilt as well, that also didn't make sense. She felt guilty about being with Spence because Ernesto was her first husband, and then they legally are still married. But she had an affair with Spence in season 1, and she didn't seem to be that guilty about that. I mean, she felt some guilt, but nowhere near the degree she seems to feel this season. And I think the reason Rosie really bugged me this season was because they play her up to be a character that you feel sorry for most of the time. And I didn't feel sorry for her. She bugged me. Nothing she did was cool. I didn't think what she did was cool. I didn't think leaving Spence was cool. Spence was a great husband to her. He's not perfect. We know that. For starters, they almost come from 2 different worlds. If they played that card, I would understand it more. Like if they had said like, oh, maybe she feels insecure because he used to come from money, or maybe he just needs adjustment to not having a lot of money, but he seemed to be adjusting pretty fine. He had a positive attitude. In comparison to season 2, he was a mess. Now he kind of got his stuff together. He don't know how to clean a house. Okay, we can work on that. I mean, she is a maid after all. She can teach him how to clean a house, right? Why is that a huge issue? And why she's like, oh man, Ernesto would have never done that. I'm like, Ernesto, you don't know Ernesto, as we learned at the end. And then at the end of it, she leaves Ernesto to go back to Spence. But she only leaves Ernesto because he's actually part of a dangerous organization and he's not who she thought he was. But she doesn't leave him out of guilt or like, you know what, I actually truly love Spence more. She left him out of opportunity. You know what? I'm not going to put up with you being in our cartel. I'm just going to go back to my first husband or my second husband, who I actually think I do know. And that bothered me. I didn't like that. I didn't think she deserved Spence after all that. And then they ended with her being with him being with Perry. That's going to be interesting. Because we haven't seen Perry since like maybe beginning of season 2. But we'll see how that goes. The Zoila storyline was interesting, actually. I swear I thought she was going to lose her baby somewhere in the middle, like when Gabrielle was pregnant in Desperate Housewives and she lost her child. I actually thought she was going to miscarry. But they actually took a different spin on that because at the end we find out that it looks like it's going to be either her or her child who's going to die. And I guess I don't know what kind of complications those are. But that was good. I was like, I didn't expect that. So we'll see what happens next season. I like the Carmen storyline. Carmen is an interesting character. Simply because I've never seen another character, at least that I can think of, that deals with karma so much. Meaning that anytime she does something wrong, instantly it seems like it comes back and bites her. Anytime she does something she's not supposed to do. And it really hit her hard this season. It hits her hard every season. And I'm like, can she get any lower? I mean, she's still alive and she's still beautiful and stuff. But can she get any lower than this? I don't know. But I like Carmen and I liked her storyline. The main characters that weren't there, Marcel was in this season. And I didn't really care so much about her storyline. So I'm not going to really comment on it. But was that Valentina and Remy were kind of kicked out of season 3. And those were 2 main characters from season 1 and 2. But I understand they had to kick them out because this is a show that's dramatic all the time. Like, there's no character that doesn't have a storyline. Like, we're not going to skip to Valentina and Remy watching TV together, like, or see them in the background or something like that. Like, they said you're either going to be here and have some drama going on, or you're not going to be here at all. So they kicked Valentina and Remy's characters off, I think, to New York to do something or another. They were briefly mentioned this season. Something like they were going to get married, but, Zoe's mom's kind of against it. And the only reason, it was kind of weird, but it was funny. The only reason I guess they were going to get married was because that Valentina was going to wait till marriage to have sex with Remy. But then she realized through Zoila that isn't that important. So she's like, well, we can just have sex now and just wait on the marriage later. I was like, okay. Anyway, I'm going to briefly go through the whole Marcel, Taylor, Michael. I'm not a big fan of the mysteries of the show. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like the comedy and sort of the quirky hijinks that some of the characters go into. Rosie is my least favorite character this season, but Marcel is probably my second least favorite. And the main reason is that she's just not as slick as she should be. I'm surprised she's not more worried about her own safety, considering how much she gets into other people's business throughout the whole show. But the whole thing with, and this is a spoiler, Sebastian's the killer, that whole stuff, that was good. I liked it. The biggest complaint I had about this season, or the season finale, was that they ended it with so many cliffhangers. I was okay with Rosie's cliffhanger because it kind of resolved things for that season. But then they have, like, Adrian. Is Adrian going to live? And then we have the Zoila thing. And I'm like, hold up. Do we need all these cliffhangers? I know you want to be, put up for season 4, but we don't need that many cliffhangers. But overall, I thought this was a fun season. I wanted to talk about the show because I don't think it gets enough talked about. So that's really it, guys. I will talk to you later.